come on a hike with us on Iceberg Lake Trail in Glacier National Park. You don't know what you are walking into. While we walk, listen closely because you need to know answers to 12 important questions for your first visit. People die on this trail, and we'll cover details on the hike and hidden dangers to keep you safe, all while showing you great views from beginning to end. Let's get started. Glacier National Park has a lot of great hikes, so the first question you should ask is the Iceberg Lake Trail in Glacier National Park worth it? From the very first mile, you're treated to sweeping mountain views, open meadows, and glimpses of distant peaks. Midway through the hike, you will pass Ptarmigan waterfall and possibly wildlife, but nothing prepares you for the final reveal. A stunning ice blue lake surrounded by towering cliffs and often scattered with floating chunks of ice. Photos and our video footage coming later don't do it justice, and the sense of scale you get standing there in person is unforgettable. But we'll do our best to share what we discovered. The return hike is all downhill, which gives you time to reflect on the beauty you just witnessed and revisit everything from a different perspective. Iceberg Lake is absolutely worth the effort, but this trail is not for everyone. So, how hard is the Iceberg Lake Trail in Glacier National Park? As you hike through Glacier National Park, elevation and distance are always factors to consider. Iceberg Lake Trail is no exception. The scenery starts early, and although there are some long stretches of uphill hiking, the path is well maintained and doesn't include any technical climbs or dangerous scrambles, but the elevation gain of about 1,200 feet is spread out enough that most hikers can find a steady rhythm without overexertion. Therefore, if you're in reasonably good shape, you'll find the experience challenging, but knowing what is to come at the end of the trail keeps you hiking and yearning for memorable glacial views we will show later. Iceberg Lake Trail is considered a moderately strenuous hike, mainly due to its 10-mile round-trip distance rather than its difficulty, which we'll discuss in more detail towards the end of this video. We'll discuss what to take with you on your hike in a bit, but it's important to ask, when is the best time to hike Iceberg Lake Trail in Glacier National Park? One of the big considerations in Glacier is seasonal access. Even in July, many high-elevation trails can still be snow-covered, and weather conditions can change quickly. Early season hikers might run into snowpacked trails, icy creek crossings, or closed sections of trail. Wildflowers tend to bloom from mid-July through August, and wildlife is especially active during this period. By September, the crowds thin out, but so do the hours of daylight. For that perfect balance of accessibility, weather, and views, the best time to hike Iceberg Lake is between late July and early September. But check the National Park Service website for the most current trail conditions and closures. Have you decided when you are going to Glacier National Park? Join the conversation today and let us know in the comments. Many people want to do the polar plunge in Glacier National Park, so can you swim Iceberg Lake in Glacier National Park? There's something about clear turquoise water that makes you want to dive in, but here it comes with a cost. Iceberg Lake is fed by snowfields and glacial melt, so the water is just barely above freezing, even in August. The air near the lake can be cool and breezy too, especially in the afternoon. Some people do take a plunge, often for a quick viral moment or as part of a bucket list challenge. But Iceberg Lake at its best is basically like an ice cube filled glass of water. Most therefore stay on the shore and admire the view. You can technically swim in Iceberg Lake, but if you do go for a swim, have an exit plan. A plan for if your adventure goes wrong, and make sure your phone is recording the event. While we were at Iceberg Lake, we saw a daring woman strip down to her bikini, swim to some floating ice, take her TikTok poses, and return to shore to a waiting towel. Anyway, when hiking, the journey is often as good or better than the destination. So, what wildlife could you see on Iceberg Lake Trail in Glacier National Park? Glacier's Many Glacier region is often referred to as the Serengeti of North America, and Iceberg Lake Trail supports that reputation. Hikers frequently see marmots sunning themselves on rocks, pika darting between bushes, and even mountain goats or bighorn sheep high up on the cliffs. But down in the meadows and valleys, moose are sometimes spotted, especially near water sources. Bears can be seen too, often foraging for berries in late summer. Keep your distance and bring a camera with zoom if you want to capture these moments safely. If you hike this trail, you've got a solid chance of spotting wildlife, including mountain goats, marmots, moose, and even bears. We'll discuss how to get to the trail next, but since everyone wants to see a bear, are there really bears on Iceberg Lake Trail in Glacier National Park? This part of the park is known for its incredible biodiversity we discussed earlier, including bears. Glacier is home to both grizzlies and black bears, but the Many Glacier area is one of the most active bear zones in the park. In fact, we heard of bear sightings in the Swiftcurrent area the day we hiked. If you hike early in the morning or late in the evening, your chances of a wildlife encounter increase. But on the downside, rangers frequently post signs about recent sightings or even trail closures, and it's not unusual to hear reports of hikers spotting bears along the trail, especially during berry season. There are definitely bears on the Iceberg Lake Trail, and you should always hike with bear spray and remain alert. Every good hiking video needs a dad joke. I asked the ranger if I really needed bear spray. She said, "It's optional, like seatbelts and parachutes." Okay, back to the list. And where does the Iceberg Lake Trail in Glacier National Park start? The Many Glacier area in Glacier National Park is home to some of the park's most beloved hikes, and parking here is in high demand during the summer months. Many Glacier is located on the northeast side of Glacier National Park. From St. Mary, Montana, it takes about a 40-minute drive to get to the Swiftcurrent Inn. It's almost impossible to do it in a day from the more popular West Glacier. But to move on, it's a good idea to get there early if you want time for bathroom breaks, last-minute gear checks, and maybe a quick snack before heading out. Everything you need is close by. The Swiftcurrent Motor Inn offers food, restrooms, a small store, and parking. But the trail itself starts northeast of or right behind the Swiftcurrent Motor Inn and heads off into open meadows before rising gently into the mountains. We'll provide more details next, but with this top 10 hike, is the Iceberg Lake Trail in Glacier National Park crowded? Iceberg Lake is one of Glacier's signature hikes, and its popularity reflects that. During the summer, particularly from late July through Labor Day, the trail sees heavy foot traffic between 10 and 3 p.m. But the length of the trail helps spread hikers out, and you'll often find quieter pockets where you can enjoy the scenery in peace. The lake itself, especially midday, can feel a little crowded, but if you hike early or late in the day, it's a completely different experience. But there is a lot of shoreline, and with the trees, you might find some quieter, secluded spots. Iceberg Lake Trail does get crowded in peak season, but early morning or late afternoon hikes offer more solitude. To consider whether you should attempt this hike, you need to ask, how long is the Iceberg Lake Trail in Glacier National Park? In Glacier National Park, all visitors should consider the length and elevation gain of the hikes they want to conquer. Each hike should be assessed against your abilities. The Iceberg Lake Trail in Glacier National Park is long enough to challenge most hikers. The National Park Service has the length of the hike at 10 miles round trip, but the elevation gain is just as important because in the mountains, the elevation gain can be more than climbing skyscrapers, and Iceberg Lake is no exception. If I asked you if you wanted to climb the stairs of the Hancock Building in Chicago, would you say yes? Iceberg Lake Trail has an elevation gain taller than the Hancock Building of 1,200 vertical feet. The Hancock Building tops out at just over 1,100 feet tall. We'll discuss who should hike this trail next, but are you enjoying this walk and talk format? We share all of our experiences this way to help you plan your first visit. Subscribe today so the next time you search for a place we've been to, our videos come up at the top of your search results. Can kids hike Iceberg Lake Trail in Glacier National Park? Families often look to this trail for a longer day hike with a big reward, and it can be a fantastic option or a bitter disappointment depending on your child's endurance. There's no technical terrain, and the incline is steady, not steep. But 10 miles is a long distance, especially for younger kids. If they've done moderate hikes before and you plan for breaks, they can absolutely make it. Even if you don't reach the lake, Ptarmigan Falls and the views along the way are still worthwhile. As you can see, our kids were 15, 13, and 11 when we hiked to Iceberg Lake. Older, healthy kids that enjoy the outdoors can hike Iceberg Lake Trail, but only if they're used to longer hikes. Younger families can attempt the hike, but if necessary, be prepared to turn around for the safety and happiness of your brood. To help you and your group hike successfully, you need to ask this question. What gear should I bring to hike Iceberg Lake Trail in Glacier National Park? Weather can change quickly in Glacier, especially at higher elevations. That's why layered clothing is key. Even in summer, it can be 80 degrees at the trailhead and 45 degrees at Iceberg Lake. Temperatures and weather will also change over the 7-hour adventure. Bring a lightweight rain jacket, hat, and gloves just in case. You'll also want high-energy stacks, sunscreen, and at least 2 liters of water per person. Bear spray is essential, as is a good pair of hiking shoes with grip. Trekking poles help on the long return and reduce fatigue. A camera or phone with a full battery is great for capturing the incredible views. The trail is well marked, but there are some connecting trails, including Ptarmigan Tunnel, so include a compass and map in your kit as well. But for safety, pack a rescue rope, first aid kit, and a flashlight in case you end up hiking at sunset. All of this can fit into a lightweight hydration day pack like we are wearing. If you want recommendations, we've added links to our video description of the gear we use to day hike Glacier National Park. Read it now while you watch. If you are like me, you will want to know, are there any facilities at Iceberg Lake Trail and Glacier National Park? Unlike some remote trailheads in Glacier, Swiftcurrent Inn makes this one relatively comfortable. You can grab a hot breakfast, pick up bear spray, refill water bottles, and even grab a sandwich for the trail. Real indoor bathrooms are available inside the inn, and the area is a convenient spot to regroup before setting off. It's also one of the few areas in the park where you might have a sliver of cell service. Once you're on the trail though, it's all wilderness. But you will find a pit toilet near the intersection of Ptarmigan Tunnel and at Iceberg Lake. There are facilities at the trailhead including restrooms, information, water fill, and a general store, but nothing but pit toilets once you start hiking. To continue planning your first trip to Glacier National Park, watch this video next.